Let's start this deep dive with a scenario. And I want to warn you, for anyone sitting at a desk right now, this is going to feel, well, uncomfortably familiar.
Yeah, like we've got a hidden camera in your office.
It might feel that way, which, for the record, we do not. But let's set the scene.
Okay, I'm ready.
Picture this. It is 8:55 a.m. on a Tuesday. You are sitting at your desk. You've got that fresh cup of coffee. The office, or, your home office is relatively quiet.
The calm before the storm.
Exactly. And you have that one massive career-defining strategic document that you promised your boss would be done by Friday. It's just looming.
Oh, I know that feeling. It's the heavy lift, the big one, the one that actually moves the needle on your quarterly goals, not just the busy work.
That's the one. So you sit down, you crack your knuckles, you reach for the mouse. But you don't open the word doc. Instead, what do? You open your email.
Of course you do.
You see a request from HR about a holiday date, so you reply to that. Takes 2 seconds. A little ping of satisfaction. Then you see a Slack message from a junior associate about a font choice. So you handle that because it's quick.
Another little win. Feels good.
It does. Then you realize your digital file folders are a bit messy, so you spend, 10, maybe 15 minutes organizing your desktop icons. And suddenly you look up and it is 11:00 a.m.
And the coffee is cold.
The coffee is cold, the strategic document hasn't been touched, but you feel busy. You feel like you've been working hard.
It feels like work, doesn't it? You're vibrating with activity, but it's actually a trap. It is what we can call the classic efficiency trap. You are doing low-value work efficiently, which gives you this false and really dangerous sense of productivity.
It's a disguise.
It is. In reality, let's just call it what it is. You're hiding. That busyness is a disguise for fear. Fear of the big, important, maybe difficult task.
That is the perfect setup for what we are unpacking today. We are looking at a tactical operating system for prioritization and execution, all based on the source material from Brian Tracy's Eat That Frog.
Right.
Now, I know the title sounds a bit like a cute self-help slogan, and I think a lot of sophisticated professionals kind of write it off because of that. But when you actually dive into the source text, this is a rigorous, almost military-grade framework for execution.
It really is. And as the pragmatic operator here, I appreciate that the core philosophy isn't about getting more things done. That's maybe the biggest misconception people have about productivity. They think it's about volume.
Just cramming more into the day.
It's not. It's about doing the right things. The source material draws a very, very sharp distinction between activity and accomplishment. Just because you're moving doesn't mean you're getting anywhere important.
Which brings us directly to the core metaphor. The frog. Let's define that immediately because the whole system, the whole thing hangs on this definition. If you don't get this definition right, none of the other tactics will work.
Absolutely critical. So in this context, a frog is not just a hard task. It's not just something you don't feel like doing. It is defined by two very specific criteria.
Okay.
One, it is the task you are most likely to procrastinate on. And two, and this is the absolute key, it is the task that has the greatest positive impact on your life and results right now.
So it's a combination of high procrastination and high impact.
Yeah.
It's not just the hardest thing, it's the thing with the highest leverage.
Exactly. And those two things usually go hand in hand, don't they? The reason you procrastinate on it is often because it carries so much weight. It has real consequences. The source material references an old saying that's the basis for the title.
Right.
If the first thing you do each morning is to eat a live frog, you can go through the day with the satisfaction of knowing that that is probably the worst thing that is going to happen to you all day long.
It's such a vivid image. But as the book makes clear, there are rules to this dining experience. You can't just nibble at the frog whenever you feel like it.
No. There are two frog rules regarding consumption, and they are non-negotiable. The first is what we can call the ugliness rule.
The ugliness rule?
If you have two frogs, you have to eat the ugliest one first.
What does that mean in practical terms?
It means if you have two high-impact, high-procrastination tasks, you must start with the harder, more complex, more ambiguous one. You tackle the monster first.
That goes completely against human nature, though, doesn't it? Our instinct is to warm up. We want to clear the throat before we sing. We want to check the easy emails to get our fingers moving.
And that is exactly where we lose the battle before it's even begun. Because the second rule is the staring rule.
Okay.
If you have to eat a live frog, it doesn't pay to sit and look at it for very long.
Yeah.
That's the 8:55 a.m. scenario we started with. Staring at the work, circling the work, organizing the files around the work, that is just prolonging the pain without making any progress.
You're just marinating in the anxiety of it.
Precisely. Action is the only cure for that specific type of anxiety. The longer you stare, the uglier the frog gets.
So we have the frog. We know we need to eat the ugliest one first, without staring. But competent, smart, high-achieving professionals fail to do this every single day. They spend their lives eating tadpoles.
A diet of tadpoles, lots of activity, very little nutrition.
Exactly. So before we get into the specific protocols, we really need to diagnose the why. Why does execution fail so consistently?
Based on the text, there are really three main traps that professionals fall into over and over again. And the first one is what Tracy calls a clarity deficit, or my favorite term, fuzzy-mindedness.
Fuzzy-mindedness. It sounds a bit like a medical condition. Sorry, I can't come in today. I have an acute case of fuzzy-mindedness.
It really acts like one. The central argument here is that procrastination isn't usually about laziness. I think that's a really important distinction for anyone listening. We beat ourselves up. We say, I'm so lazy. But the source says it's actually about confusion.
It's vagueness.
It's vagueness. A major reason for a lack of motivation is simply not being clear about what exactly needs to be done, in what order, and to what standard. And there is a staggering statistic mentioned in the book.
Yeah, this one jumped out at me.
Only about 3% of adults have clear written goals.
3%. That seems incredibly low. I mean, doesn't everyone have goals? I want to get promoted. I want to grow the business. I want to finish this project.
See, in this system, those aren't goals, they're wishes, they're daydreams. A goal is specific, it's written down, it's measurable. I need to draft the 3 key sections of the strategy document, incorporating the Q3 sales data, by noon on Wednesday. That's a goal.
So the failure mode here is that if you don't think on paper, as the book says, your brain naturally gravitates toward the path of least resistance.
Always. If the big task is fuzzy, right strategy, doc, the brain rejects it because it doesn't know where to grab hold. It's too abstract. It feels like trying to lift a cloud.
But if the small task is crystal clear, reply to Bob's email about the meeting time, the brain accepts it instantly.
Precisely. Your brain is an energy-conserving machine. It hates ambiguity. Ambiguity burns calories with no guarantee of a reward. So if you haven't done the hard work of clarifying the frog, your brain will default to the tadpole every single time. It's a biological imperative.
Which leads us directly into trap number 2. And I think this is the one that most modern knowledge workers suffer from, probably more than ever before, the dopamine trap.
Or what the text calls the efficiency illusion. This is a big one. It comes from the chapters on the 80-20 rule and something called creative procrastination.
The trap is believing that being busy equals being effective. It's the clearing the decks phenomenon.
Yes. I'll just get all these little things out of the way so I can focus. I tell myself this all the time. I just need a clean inbox and I can really dig in and write.
We all do. But what happens? You never actually get to the focus part. The decks are never clear. The source material highlights the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. 20% of your tasks will yield 80% of your results.
And the vast majority of people spend their entire day clearing up small things, which are firmly in the bottom 80%. These are what the book calls the trivial many.
As opposed to the vital few.
Exactly. And here is the insidious biology behind it. It feels good. It feels really good. Biologically, you get a little hit of dopamine and endorphin release every time you tick a box or complete a tiny loop.
Sent an email. Ping. Little reward. Filed a report. Ping. Another reward.
You're basically turning yourself into a lab rat, hitting a lever for a pleasure pellet, but you are building zero long-term career equity. You can be busy all day, completely exhausted by 5 p.m., and have accomplished absolutely nothing of value.
That is a terrifying thought. You can burn 10 hours of precious energy and generate zero actual value. It's like running on a treadmill, lots of sweat, lots of motion, but you end the day in the exact same place.
It happens constantly in every office in the world. And the third trap is perhaps the most insidious because it gives us a convenient excuse. It lets us off the hook. This is the constraint blind spot from chapter 11.
This is what happens when you hit a wall and just stop.
Right, you hit the choke point, the thing that is holding the entire process back. Every big project has one.
But the insight here, the thing that really changes the game, is where that constraint is located.
Exactly. The source material suggests that 80% of constraints are internal, only 20% are external.
Wait, unpack that for a minute, because that feels counterintuitive. Usually when I'm blocked, I blame the budget, or I blame my slow computer, or I blame the client for not getting back to me. Those are all external.
If only IT would fix my laptop, then I could work. If only the marketing team would finally send me the assets. If only I had more time.
Exactly. And that is the blind spot. We naturally look outward to explain why we aren't moving forward. It protects our ego. It's not my fault. But the text argues pretty forcefully that the bottleneck is almost always within you.
So it's not the resources, it's me.
It's a lack of a specific skill, it's a lack of discipline, it's a habit you haven't broken, or most often it's a fear you haven't faced.
Can you give me a concrete example of this? Okay, let's stick with sales. Say you aren't hitting Lalel's targets. The external excuse, the easy one, is the market is soft or our prices are too high.
Things you can't control.
Things you can't control. The internal reality, the 80% constraint, might be I am not making enough prospecting calls because I hate rejection and I haven't taken the time to learn how to handle objections properly, or my personal organization system is a mess, so I'm not following up effectively.
Oof. That puts the responsibility squarely back on the individual. That's uncomfortable.
It is. It's deeply uncomfortable, but it's also incredibly empowering. Because if the constraint is the economy, you're helpless. You can't fix the economy. But if the constraint is you, well, then you can fix it.
You can learn the skill. You can build the discipline.
Successful people, according to the text, always ask, what is it in me that is holding me back? They default to looking inward first.
Okay, so we've diagnosed the disease, a trifecta of failure. We have fuzzy-mindedness, not knowing exactly what to do. We have the dopamine trap, getting addicted to the easy stuff to feel good. And we have the internal constraint blind spot, blaming the world for our own lack of skills or discipline.
That's the perfect storm of procrastination right there.
So now I want to move to the cure. This is what we're calling the frog protocol. The source material lays out a very specific, actionable way to move from that state of paralysis to a state of execution. And it's not just try harder or be more motivated. It's a system.
It's a 4-step framework, a repeatable process. And it starts with step 1, the sort. You cannot execute until you have sorted your tasks effectively. This is the ABCDE method from chapter 5.
I love this method because it's so simple, but it forces you to look at consequences. It's not about what's easy or what you want to do. It's about what happens if you don't do something.
Exactly. It's pure consequence analysis. The method is straightforward. You take a piece of paper and you list everything you have to do for the next day or week. A total brain dump.
Get it all out.
Get it all out of your head and onto the paper. Then you go down the list and you label each item. An A task is a must-do. These have serious negative consequences if you don't do them. A1 is your frog.
So finish the client proposal is an A. If you don't do it, you might lose the client.
Precisely. Then a B task is a should do. These have mild consequences. Someone might be inconvenienced, maybe a colleague gets a little annoyed, but nobody's getting fired. These are the tadpoles.
Update the internal team tracker. It should be done, but the world won't end if it waits a day.
Exactly. A C task is nice to do. These have 0 work consequences. Lunch with a friend, organizing your desktop icons, reading an interesting industry article. It's pleasant, but it has no real impact on your results.
Okay, A, B, C, then D and E.
D is for delegate.
Yeah.
Can someone else do this? You have to be ruthless here. And E is for eliminate.
E is interesting. Eliminate. That feels powerful.
E is crucial. These are the things you do out of habit that have no current value. That weekly report that you suspect nobody reads. That standing meeting that has no clear agenda. The book's advice is to just stop doing them.
And the golden rule here is simple but brutal.
It's the core of the whole system. Never do a B task when an A task is left undone. And never do a C task when a B task is left undone.
It sounds so obvious when you say it, but think about your average office. How many people are aggressively pursuing C tasks, having long, pleasant lunches, rearranging their files, while an A1 task is sitting there flashing red on their to-do list?
All day, every day. The discipline is to look at that B task, that email from the junior associate about the font, and say, I am not allowed to touch this. My own rules forbid me from touching this until A1 is finished.
It's about creating an artificial hierarchy for your attention. You're gamifying your own compliance.
Exactly. So once we've sorted the list, we move to step 2. The setup. The source text calls this prepare thoroughly, but I like to think of it with the culinary term mise en place.
Like a chef. Everything in its place before you start cooking.
This is from chapter 8. The pragmatic operator in me loves this because it's all about friction reduction. The instruction is to clear your workspace completely, physically and digitally. Nothing on the desk except what you need for the frog.
So close all the other tabs. Put your phone in another room.
In another room, on silent. And this is the key. Have every single tool, file, login code, and piece of data you need present before you start. No, I just need to find that report from last quarter.
Why does that matter so much? I mean, why can't I just go sign the file when I need it? It only takes a minute.
Because searching breaks the spell. Every time you have to stop and look for something, you break your concentration. The text uses a great metaphor here, the cocked gun.
A cocked gun.
You want to be like a cocked gun or an archer with the string pulled back to their ear. All the potential energy is stored. You just need one small mental push to fire.
Ah, I see.
If you sit down to eat the frog, but then realize you need to find a password, and then you have to go ask a colleague for a file, you've introduced friction. Friction kills momentum stone dead. You want to be able to sit down and just launch.
It's about removing every possible excuse to stop before you've even started. If everything is there, you have no choice but to work.
Right. But even if the desk is clear and everything is ready, the frog is still ugly. It's still a massive, complex project. This brings us to step 3, the entry. How do we actually start when the task feels overwhelmingly large?
This is the salami slicing and Swiss cheese section. I was hungry reading this book.
It is a culinary tour of productivity. These tactics deal with the psychology of overwhelm. They're designed to trick your brain into starting.
Okay, so salami slicing.
Salami slicing is about sequence. You take that giant, intimidating task and you lay it out in detailed sequential steps. Then you resolve to do just one slice, one specific concrete step. I will write the opening paragraph. That's it.
You don't worry about the whole sausage.
You don't even think about the rest of the sausage. Just that one thin slice.
And Swiss cheese. How is that different?
Swiss cheese is about time, not sequence. You punch a hole in the task. You set a timer and say, I am going to work on this for 10 minutes. It doesn't matter what you get done or how good it is. You just commit to putting in the time. You erode the task from the inside out.
And what's the mechanism at play here? Why does doing one slice or working for 10 minutes actually help? Is it just about chipping away slowly?
It's deeper than that. It's a psychological trick. It triggers what psychologists call a compulsion to closure. This is a deep subconscious need that humans have to finish what we start.
Ah, like the Zeigarnik effect.
Exactly. When you finish one small slice, you get that hit of endorphins we talked about. You feel a surge of energy and competence. That momentum makes it psychologically easier to do the second slice. The hardest part is always overcoming the initial inertia. Once you are moving, it takes far less energy to keep moving.
So you trick your brain into starting with a tiny, non-threatening step. And then the brain's own biochemistry takes over to keep you going. You're hacking your own motivation system.
That's a perfect way to put it, which leads directly to the final and maybe most difficult step, step 4, the lock-in. Chapter 21 calls this single handling.
This is the don't stop rule, the no distractions rule.
It is the most critical rule for achieving a state of high performance. Once you start an A1 task, you do not stop until it is 100% complete. You work at it without diversion or distraction.
That sounds almost impossible in a modern workplace.
It's hard, but the source material highlights the terrifying cost of not doing it. The cost of switching.
I read this part. It said stopping and restarting can increase the time to complete a complex task by up to 500%. That sounds like an exaggeration until you actually think about what happens when you get interrupted.
It's the refamiliarization penalty. You stop to check a quick email. When you come back to the frog, you have to figure out where you were, what you were thinking. You have to reread the last paragraph. You have to overcome that inertia all over again.
You're constantly paying a startup cost every time you switch back.
Constantly. If you single-handle the task, if you lock in and don't look up, you move down the efficiency curve, you get faster and better as you go. You enter a state of flow where time seems to disappear. That's where peak performance happens.
And the mantra provided in the text for this, when you feel the urge to check your phone or email, is simply back to work.
Yeah, you just repeat it to yourself. Back to work, back to work. It's a simple but effective command to your own mind. It's a discipline of refusing to let your attention fragment.
I want to pause here because this all sounds great in theory. Just lock yourself in a room and don't stop until you're done. But we work in open plan offices. We have Slack notifications popping up. We have bosses who tap us on the shoulder.
The real world is messy and full of interruptions.
Exactly. So I want to make this really usable for our listeners. We've got the framework, but sometimes the hardest part is navigating the social pressure. Your boss walks in, a colleague pings you. You need the words to defend your time.
You need a toolkit of phrases.
Let's go through some practical scripts. Literally, things you can say or even just think to enforce this system in the real world.
These are derived from various chapters to give you a kind of defensive toolkit for your focus.
Okay, script 1. A new low-value task appears. An email comes in asking for something trivial, or a colleague asks for a quick favor. What's the script?
This is the posteriority check. We all know what priority is, what to do first. Posteriority is deciding what to do last or not at all. The script is an internal monologue first. Does this activity belong in the top 20% that drives results, or is this a candidate for creative procrastination?
Creative procrastination, I want to flag that term again. It sounds like an oxymoron, but it's a core concept.
It's brilliant. The source argues that since you can't possibly do everything, you must procrastinate on something. You have no choice. The difference between high and low performers is that high performers procrastinate on low-value tasks intentionally. They decide not to do the small stuff. That's creative procrastination.
So the external script, if someone is actually asking you to do it, might be what?
Something calm and firm like, I can't get to this right now as I'm single-handling Project A to ensure it hits the deadline. I can look at this on Friday afternoon. You are putting their low-value task in the posterior position without being rude.
Okay, script 2. You are looking at a recurring meeting or a report you write every single week. It feels like a waste of time, but you've always done it. How do you evaluate it?
Use the zero-based test. The script is a question you ask yourself. Knowing what I know now, if I weren't already doing this, would I start doing it today?
That's a powerful reframing question.
It forces you to re-justify every single recurring activity. If the answer is no, I absolutely would not start this today, then it's an eat task. You must find a way to eliminate it. Don't cling to it just because of sunk costs or habit.
Okay, script 3, the delegate command. This is for handing off a D task, which a lot of people struggle with. They feel like they have to do everything themselves.
The internal script here is about focusing on your unique contribution. This is something that can be done well by others. I need to focus my energy on what only I can do that will make a real difference. It's about highest and best use of your time.
Script 4, the clarity inquiry. This is for when your boss gives you one of those fuzzy-minded tasks. Hey, could you look into the Q3 sales figures? That is a procrastination trap waiting to happen.
It's a total trap because you don't know what look into means. Does it mean a one-page summary? A 50-slide deck? The script is a polite but firm request for specifics. To make sure I get you exactly what you need, what is the expected outcome here, and what's the deadline?
You are forcing the task to be defined so you can classify it as an A or a B.
No.
You are refusing to accept ambiguity.
You have to. And finally, script 5 is for when you feel that internal urge to grab your phone. The boredom kicks in, the task feels hard.
The momentum mantra.
Simple and repetitive, said internally. Do it now, do it now, do it now. It sounds cheesy, I know, but it triggers a bias for action. It's a way to shout down the weaker part of your brain that wants a dopamine hit from social media.
And a final one, script 6, the end of day close.
This uses the 10-90 rule, the idea that 10% of time spent planning saves 90% of time in execution. The script as you're packing up at 5:00 p.m. is, my list for tomorrow is set. My A1 task is identified. I'm ready to eat the frog immediately upon arrival.
You do not want to walk in tomorrow morning and start thinking. That's a losing game.
The thinking happens the night before when you're calm. The doing happens in the morning when you're fresh.
That's the cadence. I want to see this in action now. Theory is one thing, but let's apply it. Let's run a mini case study. We'll invent a persona. Let's call her Sarah. She's a sales director.
Okay, let's look at Sarah's situation. Sales are down, the tension is high, the pressure from her VP is mounting. She knows, deep down, that she needs to design a new compensation plan to motivate her team. That is the frog.
It's huge, it's complex, it involves math, HR, finance.
Yeah.
It's scary. But if she gets it right, it likely solves the core problem.
It's the highest leverage activity she could possibly do. But let's look at her actual day. She is trapped in the daily grind. She spends her days putting out fires, answering basic rep questions, sitting in on client meetings that her senior staff should be handling, manually checking CRM data because she doesn't trust the reports.
By the end of the day, she is completely exhausted and feels like she has no time for the big strategic work.
It's a classic scenario. She is drowning in B and C tasks. She's clearing the decks, but the ship is sinking. She is very, very efficiently rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic.
So how does she apply the Eat That Frog framework? Let's walk through it step by step.
Okay, step 1 is diagnosis. She has to sit down, maybe on a Sunday night, and be brutally honest with herself. She has to identify that the compensation plan is the key constraint from Chapter 11. She has to realize that answering one-off rep questions won't fix the systemic sales numbers. Only the comp plan will. That makes it unequivocally her A1 task.
So she writes it down. A1, design new comp plan. Okay, step 2, plan.
She has to use the law of forced efficiency. This means she has to accept she will never catch up on all her emails. That's a fantasy. She has to let that go.
She has to get comfortable with a full inbox.
She does. So she creates a large chunk of time. That's from Chapter 19. She blocks 90 minutes on her calendar from 8:30 to 10:00 a.m. every morning. It's labeled Comp Plan Do Not Disturb. She closes her office door. She puts her phone in a drawer.
Step 3, execute. She sits down on Monday at 8:30. The comp plan is still intimidating. She doesn't know where to start.
So she uses Swiss cheese. She tells herself, I am not going to write the whole plan today. That's impossible. I am just going to spend 15 minutes drafting the 3 main goals of the new plan. That's it. A small, manageable hole to punch in the project.
And what's the outcome of this?
By just drafting the outline, she breaks the inertia. She hits a state of flow, as described in Chapter 20. She feels the endorphin rush we talked about. And that little bit of progress actually improves her mood and her confidence for the rest of the day. She feels in control again.
And what about all the other stuff, the fires?
She starts delegating. She realizes those client meetings are D tasks. She empowers her senior reps to handle them, which actually boosts their morale. She sets up an FAQ for the common questions, an E task, eliminating the need to answer them individually. And she finishes the first draft of the comp plan in 3 90-minute blocks.
And the business result?
The team gets motivated by the new, clearer incentives. Revenue starts to climb in the next quarter, all because she had the discipline to ignore the urgent but unimportant tasks for 90 minutes a day to focus on the truly important one.
It sounds so trivial when you put it like that, but that is the entire difference between an executive who shapes the future and just a worker who reacts to the present.
That's it. Sarah had to be willing to let the tadpoles swim around in the pond so she could hunt the big frog. That takes courage and discipline.
This brings us to the exit protocol. We've covered a lot of ground: the frog, the traps, the 4-step protocol, the scripts. But I want to leave the listener with a final reality check from the preface of the source material. It's a bit of a hard truth, but it's essential.
It is, and it might be the most important thing for people to hear. The insight is this: you will never get caught up.
Say that again, because I think people need to let that sink in.
You will never, ever get caught up. The river of responsibilities, as the book calls it, is never ending. The pile of books you want to read, you won't read them all. The projects on your list, you won't finish them all.
So the goal isn't to get to a clean slate.
The goal is not an empty inbox. That's a fool's errand. Success is not about clearing the whole list. Success is about selecting the right things to leave undone.
Creative procrastination again.
You have to get comfortable with the chaos of the low-value tasks piling up so that you can have the calm and focus of the high-value tasks getting done.
That is surprisingly liberating. It's not about being perfect, it's about being effective. Stop trying to empty the ocean with a spoon. Just swim in the right direction.
Exactly. Let the tadpoles live. Eat the frog.
So for the listener who wants to start this tomorrow, not next week, not next month, tomorrow, what are the 3 immediate actions they can take tonight?
Okay, 3 things. Action 1. Plan tonight. Before you shut down your computer, take 5 minutes. Write your list for tomorrow. Let your subconscious mind work on it while you sleep.
Action 2.
Identify the A1. Look at that list and be honest. What is the one thing on there that will have the greatest positive impact? Mark it clearly. Put a big circle around it. That is your frog.
And action 3.
Create the void. Block the first 60 minutes of your day tomorrow for that A1 task. Put it in your calendar. No email, no phone, no meetings. Just you and the ugly frog.
And is there a single metric they should watch to see if this is working?
Yes. Think about your return on energy. It's not about time management. It's about energy management. Ask yourself this question at the end of the day. Are you spending your prime biological time? For most people, that's the morning on your A1 tasks. Or are you wasting that high-quality focused energy on C tasks like email?
Don't give your best energy to your inbox.
Never. Give it to your future.
We'll end with a thought from Goethe, which is paraphrased in Chapter 4, and it really sums this whole philosophy up perfectly.
It's beautiful in its simplicity. Just begin, and the mind grows heated. Continue, and the task will be completed.
Just begin. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Go eat that frog.